A warm welcome once more to the EBS tonight. We'd like to apologize for the mix-up. However, we've got very interesting stories for you tonight. We begin with the first story that says Pope Leo XVI set the tone for his papacy this Sunday with a call to stop exploiting nature and maximizing the poor before an audience including United States Vice President James Venus and tens of thousands of pilgrims. 10 days after Chicago-born Robert Francis Provoste became the first U.S. head of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics and celebrated his inaugural Mass in St. Peter's Square. The 69-year-old began the day by making his debut tour in a Pope mobile car, standing up in the costume car, white vehicle, smiling, waving, and blessing the cheering crowds at the Vatican. President Bola Tinubu joined other world leaders in Rome, Italy this Sunday for the installation mass marking the beginning of the pontificate of His Holiness Pope Leo XVI, the 267th Bishop of the Rome and the new leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Tinubu's visit to Rome is in honor of the new Pope's invitation conveyed by the Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State. He was received at the Mario de Bernardo Military Airport by Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu-Chukwu, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, and officials from the Vatican City and the Nigerian Embassy after the plane touched down at 6 p.m. local time. Moving over to religious matters, it says Christian women have been charged to imbibe the virtues of faithfulness, dedication, courage, and hard work to make their homes comfortable for a stable family. Pastor Mrs. Funke Eabo, the Habitation Church of God International, gave the charge when she delivered a sermon titled The Virtuous Woman on the occasion of the 22nd anniversary of the Sisters of Deborah group of the church. The report is presented from our studios.
Pastor Irabo said that Deborah had a rare courage, faith, and trust in God in the discharge of her duties as a judge. She affirmed that a Christian woman must be a light in her family and must also rely on God for wisdom, strength, and direction in order to have a family that will enjoy the grace and favor of God.
Can we be termed as Deborah of the day? I want us to question ourselves. She sat every day under the tree. She was not in any office. But when we look at ourselves, do we come at all to judge? I know some two people who have come today, they have every reason not to leave their house because they just had some health issues.
High point of the service was a colorful thanksgiving by the Sister of Deborah group.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the acquisition of additional air assets to boost the fight against insurgency. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting of security chiefs with President Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja. Abuja correspondent Ayeto Talufahai tells us more.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, assured Nigerians that the military is committed to addressing the recent surge in insecurity in the country. He stated that additional equipment has already been procured to strengthen the fight against terrorists who have intensified their attacks in recent months, particularly in the northern region of the country. General Musa explained that the recent spike in attacks in the northern part of the country is as a result of the conflicts across the Sahel region, which has moved into Nigeria.
I think our meeting today is for us to review the entire security situation in the country. The president is concerned about what's going on, and we have reassured him that we're on top of our game. We're working extremely very hard. What has happened of recent is that there's a global push by terrorists and jihadists all over the Sahel area, and that pressure is what actually came into Nigeria because of the nature of our borders. And so we have, Mr. President has given directives as to what to do next for us to intensify all efforts, collaborate with all our sister countries around, because it is the porous nature that is coming there that is actually aggravating our own issues on ground. And so all our theaters have been enhanced, equipments have been bought. Mr. President has also given us much approvals for air assets and other aspects of security.
The Chief of Defense Staff also advised Nigerians to be cautious of fake news and to report wrong activities of anyone, including actions of members of the armed forces, to the appropriate authorities.
We want to appeal to all Nigerians not to get tired, and they should be wary of fake news. There's a lot of fake news that has been spread out, making it look, most of the videos being circulated are videos from other countries or old videos, making it look as if it is new. And you know, you always want to wonder, why do some individuals feel happy when things go bad in their country? If Nigeria is destroyed, all of us will go down. And so it is important that we all cooperate with members of the armed forces and security agencies. If we see something that is going wrong anywhere in the country, let us report. Action will be taken, including our own personnel. If we see them doing what is not supposed to be done, they should take a report and we'll take action. We want to thank all Nigerians for the support we've been getting.
Present at the security meeting were the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Igbetokun. From Abuja, Ayetutu Alufohai, EBS News.
President Bola Tinubu has called for closer collaboration between the federal government and traditional rulers in fostering peace and harmony in the country. The president stated this while receiving the 46th Alaafin of Oyo, His Imperial Majesty Oba Abimbola Akim Owuade, at the State House in Abuja. Ayetutu Alufohai, who was there, tells us more.
President Bola Tinubu, while receiving the 46th Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Abimbola Akim Owuade, his wife Abiwumi, and a delegation of other traditional rulers of Oyo State, assured the royal father of the federal government's support. He noted that his administration will continue to work with traditional institutions to implement policies for the betterment of the country. President Tinubu also commended the Traditional Council for nominating and crowning the 46th Alaafin following the passing of Obalamidi Adeyemi on 22nd April 2022.
Your foresight for development, your humbleness, and the fathership of upholding the tradition, this inherited tradition, is the making of gold. Your ascendancy to the throne, like my being a president, is a divine will of God Almighty. I know the hurdles and the process and the anxiety that enveloped all of us during the process of nomination of the person to succeed the late Oba Lamid Adeyemi. But to the wish of God and the good people of our race, it just came simple, peaceful, and through the hands of God Almighty. I congratulate you.
The Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Abimbola Owuade, assured President Tinubu of the support of the Traditional Council and the people of Oyo.
Your Excellency, the Alaafin's Palace, the Oyo Mesi, our chiefs, Yoruba Nation, and indeed, the good people of Oyo stand firmly behind you. We offer not just our support, but our partnership. Let us make the Oyo Empire a model of region development. one that echoes the greatness of our past and aligns with your vision for a prosperous Nigeria. May the Almighty God continue to strengthen you, your hands, guide your hearts, and grant your administration the wisdom to unify and uplift the beloved nation.
The 46th Alafin of Oyo, Oba Bimbola Akim Owode, ascended the throne on 5th April 2025. He succeeds the late Oba Lamidi Adeyemi III, who reigned for over 5 decades, until his passing on 22nd April 2022 at the age of 83. From Abuja, Ayetutu Alufohai, EBS News.
Now to electoral matters. Diverse reactions have trailed the bill before the National Assembly, seeking to ensure that all Nigerians must vote during elections. Justin Igbo tells us more.
In a democratic terrain, people are voted to occupy elective offices. Findings revealed that many registered voters in Nigeria refuse to vote during elections, leaving few persons to vote for leaders who represent the people. Commenting on the proposed bill, which seems to sanction Nigerians who do not vote during elections, Benjamin Egbede and the National President Professional Drivers on Wheel, Adams Ehi, though averred that eligible voters in Nigeria are expected to vote during elections to ensure full participation of all to guarantee that credible leaders emerge in the aftermath. It should not be made compulsory.
To choose a better leader that will pilot the affair of this country, but so they will be able to get what you need and they will be willing to give what they have to the teeny population. I think the security should be beefed up so that they'll be able to checkmate those that are touched, that are willing to destroy the electionary process.
To me, I believe it's our right to vote. And I also want the National Assembly to know that it's someone that is on good health that will vote. Everybody went to collect his PVC as in Nigeria. But what about the day of election, something else not come up? I also want the National Assembly to look at that area. Something else may come up that may be big, a challenge may come that is bigger than election, etc. You cannot expect a man that is planning to go and vote on Saturday, receive a call in the night that he lost his father or he lost his family, lost his close associate. It will not be okay to go and cast his vote. They should look at that place. Putting the law, to me, I believe is not a welcome idea.
On his part, a legal practitioner Peter Edo Asemota, while noting that freedom of choice is a right inherent in everybody, said what should engage the National Assembly presently is to amend the electoral process to make it more conducive for voters.
There is freedom of choice, and freedom not to choose is embedded in your right, in your freedom of choice. Your freedom not even to stand for election. There are some religious organizations, I don't want to mention it, they do not vote, they do not stand for any election because they believe that the kingdom of this world, the government of this world is temporary, that the real government is the one of God in heaven. So whatever, whether you think it's right or wrong, it is their choice.
A bill seeking to make it compulsory for eligible Nigerians to vote during elections or face sanction is currently before the National Assembly. Justin Igbo, EBS News.
Still on electoral matters, remember that the right to vote is a civic responsibility. Meanwhile, Election Observer Group Yagra Africa has vehemently condemned a proposed bill in the National Assembly that will make voting compulsory for Nigerians, with non-compliance punishable by a 6-month jail term. Yagra Africa's Executive Director Samson Todo said that this, while the bill aims to address low voter turnout, is draconian approach violates constitutional guaranteed fundamental human right, emphasizing that the right to abstain from voting is a legitimate form of political expression instead of compulsory voting. Yagra Africa urged the National Assembly to prioritize electoral reforms that build public trust and improve election integrity, recommending measures like electronic transmission of results and diaspora voting. Still on the news tonight, Edo State government, through the Office of the Coordinator of the First Lady, has taken delivery of health and educational supplies from the Chinese community in Edo State. Julius Samuel saying, reports that the Coordinator Office of the First Lady, Adesili Anani, received the donations on behalf of Edo State government. The report.
The donation put up by companies of Association of Chinese Community, including Yongxin Steel Company Limited, Rongsheng Glass Nigeria Limited, Time Ceramics Nigeria Limited, Rongtile Industrial Park, seeks to improve public health, support access to education, foster social responsibility, amongst others. For the Coordinator Office of Edo First Lady, Edesi Anani, the occasion is a testament of the state government's commitment to fostering a business-friendly environment that supports the growth of enterprises in the state, as well as enhance the well-being of residents. She noted that the supplies will go a long way in enhancing the quality of living for direct beneficiaries.
So I want to assure you that every item brought here will be shared appropriately. It will get to the people that is intended for. That I assure you. The donation of health and educational supplies will undoubtedly make a significant impact in the lives of our people.
The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Cyril Adams-Oshomole, while appreciating the association for its generous donations of essential health and educational supplies, noted that it is a testament to the strong and good relationship between the people of Edo State and partners from the Republic of China.
Today's donation of essential health and educational supplies is a testament to the strong and growing relationship between the people of Edo State and our partners from the Republic of China. Your contribution today is a powerful example of what we can achieve when the public and private sector work together for the common good.
The chairman of Yongxin Steel Company, Mr. Zhanghai Ziyang, is represented by the public relations officer of Yongxin Steel Company, Hazel Han, acknowledged the strong partnership between the state government and the association, with efforts geared towards the education and health of women and girl children. The Chinese community's donation is a development program in communities where they do business.
We are very happy to be part of this event today, and we consider ourselves partners in progress to Edo State government. And we have continued to identify with the government and people of state in their noble projects.
Highlights of the event was the official presentation of the donated items to the Coordinator Office of Edo First Lady, flanked by dignitaries. Juliet Samuel saying, EBS News.
Well, as you well know, yesterday was World Hypertension Day. Edo State Government and Edo Health Insurance Commission marked World Hypertension Day on May 17, 2025, with a series of activities aimed at raising awareness about the condition. The event was celebrated across the 3 senatorial districts, featuring free blood pressure checks, body mass index (BMI), assessment health talks, and sensitization programs. EBS Moses Agboma brings highlights of this event.
The event to commemorate World Hypertension Day with its theme, Measure Your Blood Pressure Accurately, Control It, Live Longer, was organized by the Edo State government in conjunction with the Edo State Health Insurance Commission. Saw free health checks, including blood pressure, BMI assessments conducted to encourage early detection and prevention. At New Bini Primary Health Center in Edo South Senatorial Districts, health talks were given to sensitize beneficiaries on the importance of regular exercise, stress management, regular checks to manage hypertension.
The reason why this is pertinent is because increasingly we are seeing cases of people who slump and die, who have cardiac issues without even knowing, and there's need for us to be able to let people know that attention must be paid to curative, preventive measures such as regular exercise, managing stress.
Similarly, at Ivinone and Afuda PHCs in Esako Central and Igweben local government areas, facilitators stress the need for the exercise.
Most persons who have hypertension usually don't know that they are even hypertensive. So some of the things that people begin to feel when they are hypertensive, though it is not exclusive to hypertension, is things like headache, dizziness. However, with regular check is what is needed.
Letting them know the importance of checking their blood pressure, because this is what can lead to a healthy living.
Beneficiaries commended the state government for the initiative.
You don't check me. They say my BP is okay. They give me the tablets for ulcer. They tell me so I drink water. My everything is okay.
Because they say that they do free treatment this morning. That make me come. The people who organize now do well, now try. May God bless you.
I appreciate you people that come here this morning, because some people they will tell us to come, they will come, and you people come, and we appreciate.
World Hypertension Day is observed annually on May 17 and is aimed at raising awareness about hypertension and promoting regular monitoring and healthy lifestyle choices. Moses Agboma, EBS News.
Still on the commemoration of World Hypertension Day. The 17th of May every year is the World Hypertension Day. It is set aside to raise awareness about hypertension, encourage lifestyle modification, and promote measures to prevent and control the health challenge. Some health practitioners in Benin City spoke to Pauline Osenije about hypertension and ways to curb it. Here's the report.
As the world marks the Hypertension Day, which is observed annually on the 17th of May, members of the public are reminded of the dangers of hypertension and lifestyle modifications to prevent and control the situation. Health practitioners Gabriel Ozioko, Violet Enaona, Emmanuel Umeni, and Chineye Daniel speak.
All this sedentary lifestyle has to stop. Eat healthy, cut down the way you go to the fast food to buy things and eat. Fast food should be reduced. It's not encouraged. They contain salts. Aside the extra salt you use daily, there are other things that this fast food give you that still contain salts. And this salt is actually bad for the body, because in excess they cause a lot of problems. Build up of pressure in the blood vessels.
It affects both the young and the old, and people tend to think it's being caused by just thinking, which is way far beyond that, because the reason why it affects the young these days is because of our intake. People don't maintain their intake, which causes harm to the body system. Hypertension is being caused by high cholesterol. So what I would advise our humans to do is to always check their cholesterol level, because if you often check this, it will not lead to BP. You know when to reduce.
We've been able to identify some basic causes of high blood pressure. One, which is lack of physical exercise. Two, sedentary lifestyle. Poor sleep, stress management, poor dieting, excess intake of alcohol, smoking, and intake of drinks with high caffeine.
People have hypertension because there is no easy flow of blood from the heart to deliver to the arteries and to circulate around the body. So when people are developing hypertension, I believe it's what they eat. And if you say these are what today, especially of the 21st century, people do not value their health. They'll tell you I'm not sick. You don't do a checkup or examine yourself only when you are sick. It's advisable you examine yourself. Haven't you seen some persons that they look healthy, but what happens? They might just be walking and they slump and they go. It's called cardiac arrest.
Although death is inevitable, it is, however, the advice of the healthcare providers for all to be conscious of their lifestyles. Pauline Osemege, EBS News.
Well, on EBS tonight, we're focusing on a silent but serious health issue affecting millions of people around the world. The world is hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, often symptomless, yet potentially life-threatening. Hypertension is a leading cause of heart disease, stroke, and kidney failure. As we mark Hypertension Day 2025, the global theme for this year says, your blood pressure, accurately control it, and live longer. This year's focus stresses the importance and precise blood pressure monitoring and effective management. To help us look into this, two guests joining us now via Zoom is the program manager, head of non-communicable disease, Ministry of Health, Edo State, Dr. Ogene Karo Hanunu. And I'm also being joined here live in the studio by pharmacist Alan Iboyi, Chairman, Association of Community Pharmacy, Edo State. Welcome to EBS tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. While we're waiting one evening there, I can see she's standing by. Good evening and welcome to EBS tonight.
Good evening. Hi.
All right. I just take it from here. I'd like to begin with you via Zoom. What is hypertension and what are the likely symptoms of hypertension? A number of people say that, well, hypertension, some people even say is a myth, as it were. Well, let me find out from you what is hypertension and what are the likeliest of symptoms that one can find and identify as hypertension.
Okay, thank you for having me. Hypertension basically means that your blood pressure is, when the blood pressure is higher than normal, that is hypertension. And this means that the high blood pressure is applying a lot of tension to the blood vessels. So like I normally tell patients, the easiest way to explain it is when you are passing water through a pipe at a very high tension. So that pipe has the tendency to burst. That pipe has the tendency to be destroyed. So that's what hypertension does. Now, like you rightly said in your opening statement, hypertension is a silent killer. What we mean is that hypertension doesn't have any specific symptom. For example, if somebody has malaria, the person will have headaches, the person will have high fever, the person will have, joint pains. But it's not like so for hypertension. More often than not, even people that have symptoms would just maybe have a headache, maybe dizziness, nothing to, they may just feel unwell. That is even in rare occasions. Generally, otherwise, most people will go about their normal business and would not know that their blood pressure has increased.
Okay, I like to butt in here. Is it true, some people will say that hypertension has so many variables and that at some point you could take your drugs and then when you're tired, it may just be gone if you don't have the headaches, as slight as it may appear. Is that enough to say that you're dealing with it already?
Okay, unfortunately, hypertension is one of those diseases that doesn't have a cure. Unlike malaria, you take malaria treatment for 3 days and you are good. Hypertension doesn't have a cure. It's what we call a chronic disease. So that means that it's basically occurring as a result of changes to your body. So once it has appeared, you basically have to manage it. Now, management of hypertension doesn't necessarily mean taking drugs. Hypertension occurs in different stages. So sometimes at the early stages where what we call pre-hypertension, you would be able to control your blood pressure by just doing what we call lifestyle modification. So you make changes to your diet, like reducing your salt intake, watching the level of oils, the kind of oils you use, increasing your exercise, stopping the use of tobacco. When I say tobacco, including shisha, cigarettes, snuff, stopping all that completely, and then reducing your alcohol use. All these things can reduce the blood pressure when it's at
not reach the height.
Yes, when it's at the early stage, the hypertensive stage.
Okay.
But later on, when it's advanced, you have to take drugs, and when you take drugs, they tend to come down, but that doesn't mean the hypertension is gone.
Okay.
It means it is controlled. So you have to continue taking those drugs to keep it controlled.
Okay, I'd ask you to hold your thoughts there while I come back to pharmacist Allen in the studio. I'd like to ask you, I mean, you're a pharmacist and looking at drug management, as it were. Some people will say that, well, they've taken this drug for maybe more than a decade, and so they're tired, they could throw off their drugs. Basically, what are some of the dangers that one could find if you do not adhere, to strict adherence of taking your drugs as at the time they're supposed to take it?
Okay, just like the person who spoke earlier mentioned, hypertension is a chronic disease, and it means that when someone is diagnosed with hypertension, he basically will have to live with it.
So it's for life?
Yes, yes. It meant that some changes had happened in their bodies such that the body is not able to keep the blood pressure at normal level. And so if it reaches the point where the person has to use medication after a proper assessment by a qualified healthcare practitioner, the medications will be prescribed. And there are various types of medication. It will also depend, the type of medication that a hypertensive patient will use will depend on the level of the hypertension and also maybe the specific characteristics of that patient. And so once they've been placed on medication, the place of monitoring, checking routinely and regularly the blood pressure is so important and so crucial to
even the theme for this year.
Yes, yes, that's why the team tend to focus on measuring the blood pressure accurately, controlling it, and then live longer. So when patients are placed on antihypertensive medication, sometimes while they are on the medication, while they adhere to the prescription as recommended, the blood pressure tends to be controlled. And then when it's controlled, the patient may be asked to alternate. They can be asked to skip certain days such that the hypertension or the blood pressure does not go below the normal range, which can also be a problem. It could also be a review of the medication such that if the patient was using about 2 or 3 medications, one may be dropped, and then
the other one
might be asked to be sustained. So,
how regular should this check be? Just before I come to the guest, in the Zoom, we're about to round up this segment.
Okay, for a patient who is hypertensive, for someone who is hypertensive, checking should be twice daily.
I mean, when I don't have the machine around me, and probably how affordable is this machine that we're talking about too?
The machines are affordable.
Okay.
You can't be a hypertensive patient
and not have
a device. When the person wakes up, he's supposed to check the blood pressure, and then before he goes to bed, he's supposed to also check the blood pressure. But at the very least, a hypertensive patient should check their blood pressure once regularly. A day. It is that checking that gives the
awareness.
Idea, how is my blood pressure today? Is it under control? So that checking underlines every intervention
even including the medication use.
It's Ogene Tega still there. Ogene Kara, I beg your pardon. If she's still there, I wanted to ask her maybe the last question just to go. But while we're trying to establish her there, your last thoughts as we celebrate this year's World Hypertension Day. Okay, she joins us again. Let me ask you, Ogene Kara, what are some of the advice that you have for patients already living with hypertension? What would you say is that one thing they must do daily, just so that they're put in check?
Okay, so the one thing they must do is to, especially when you are already on the medication, the one thing you must do is to take your medication. You might be tempted to stop taking your medication because it seems like your BP is now normal. No, the BP is not normal. The BP is under control. It's different from being like normal. So it's not a cure, it is that you've controlled it. And so you must continue to take the agent that helped you control it. Like the pharmacist said, sometimes your physician may have needs to review your medicine, but that should be done by your physician. You shouldn't do that by yourself.
So check.
Yes, keep checking and keep visiting your physician.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Our dear manager there, Ogene Kara, thank you so much. And also let me say thank you to pharmacist Alan Boy for joining us on EBS tonight. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me. All
right, indeed, the good news about spreading the message for a continuous check begins with you and I. Remember that if you're just joining us, this is EBS Tonight. You can watch EBS on Star Times, channel 113, Go TV, channel 141, and terrestrial, channel 45. For the latest news and information, be sure to visit our website at ebsng.com. Join the conversation and listen live, ebsng.com, radio. Subscribe to EBS on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X at EBS Benin. On the news tonight,
people of Edo State, the hello, we the hello, Governor Edo State, you don't better. People of Edo State.